This video is to show you how to use Microsoft Access for the first part of this Find a Job project. Should create an Access database or table within a database with information. The second part will be to create a letter of application in Microsoft Word. It'll be a form letter and you'll be pulling information in from your database to very easily create 25 nearly identical letters, but with some personalizing included. But here I'm just going to talk about Microsoft Access. So the first step is to open Microsoft Access. Click on Blank Desktop Database to create a new database. Give it a name. I'll just call it Find a Job. Hit Create. It'll open up with a blank table. See, there's nothing in the table, and there are no forms in the table, no fields in the table, just a blank table. So what you want, this would be what's called the data sheet view, which will show you all the information within a table. So the first thing you want to do is click on this little button here to take you to the design view. Give your table a name. Let's call it contact info. This first field is just an ID number, automatically fills in as you add more information to your table. You'll update. So the first company is Walmart. That'll be number 1. You hit enter, start typing Target. That would be number 2. So you can just leave that as is. The rest of the fields you want to fill in using these 13 fields I want you to have included in the table. Just to mention, this table is one of many you could have within an Access database. You could also have multiple forms, multiple reports, and multiple queries, where queries would be used to connect more than one table. If you pull article description from one table and a price from another table, for example. We just had to create one table for this project and one report. So start with company name, data type short text, everything else will be the default. Contact title, this will be Mr., Mrs., Ms., Doctor, etc. And this just makes it easier in the form letter, so you can have a letter that says Dear Mr. Smith and then Dear Mrs. Jones without having to do much typing at all. Contact first name. Most of these are going to be just the default. Contact last name. Contact job title. Contact address. State. Contact zip code, and here is one case where you will not use the default. Keep it a short text, but if you come down here to the bottom part of the screen and click on this input mask in this blank spot to the right, and then over on the ellipsis, it will ask you to say table, say yes. Pick the one that says zip code, say next. Take away these last 4 digits because you probably will not find their 9-digit zip code. You probably only find a 5-digit zip code. So you can just delete these 9s, delete the dashes. If you want to try it, see why you might want to use this. Type in a zip code, say 65714. Try to type in more than 5 numbers, it will not let you. Try to type in letters, which is what I'm doing now, and it just gives you this error sound. Alright, so click next. This one you can record with the symbols or without, doesn't matter because there are no symbols in the zip code, of course. Click finish. Then go into contact phone number. Here use input mask again, and just click in the blank field to the right of input mask. Click on the ellipsis, save the table, click phone number, say next, next. This time you want to use store data with the symbols in the mask. So then you pull this into your Microsoft Word letter, you won't have to worry about typing in parentheses or dashes. You'll have a formatted phone number already, and all you're going to have to type in to this database is numbers. So then click finish there. Contact email. Other things I had you list would be position applying for and source. I'd recommend recommend you spell things correctly, even though I did not here. Source. And what the source is going to be here, it would be something that would finish the sentence, I heard about this job blank. So then in source, if you heard about something from an email from Dr. Kent, in this field you type in from Dr. Kent at Missouri State University. If you read about the newspaper, you'd say, this field would say, in the Thursday edition of the Springfield News Leader. If you heard about the job on a website, this field would read from your corporate website or on your corporate website, etc. So you don't want to print this, just put it in there, and you could even end the sentence with a period and put the period in there. Then when you type your formula, you would make sure you would leave the punctuation off of that. So these are the 13 fields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14th here is this ID. You're done with that, go back here and click on View to go back to the datasheet view. Save the table. Here you could enter information. So let me just show you how you do that. Say it's Walmart, contact title, Mr. Jim Smith, CEO. Of course, this is not the correct information. I'm just typing things in here. Address 4560 South Walton. I don't know what South Walton Boulevard is the correct address. Other than that, I am not sure. Bentonville, Arkansas 727. I'm not sure the zip code in Bentonville. Just make one up here. Phone number 479-352-4876. That's not the correct phone number either. You would want to make this information correct so you can use this database to actually apply for jobs. Email John Smith at Walmart.com. Applying for buyer. Source. So again, just would finish the sentence. I heard about this job on your corporate website, for example. Then hit enter. Takes you to the next field. You start entering your new information. Let's say JB Hunt, etc., etc. Keep going through this, entering the information. You can start your database, start your table, come back to it later, fill in more information. So every time you get a job contact throughout the semester, put it in your database. If you get an email from Dr. Kent about a job, if it's something you're interested in, put that contact information in this table in your database. And then when you're ready to start applying for jobs, you could use your form letter to very easily have a bunch of letters ready to be sent out. You could also use this in a form letter to put address on envelope, for example, so you could print out the envelope labels as well. So go to contact. So that's how you create the table. Once you have the table created, you don't have to have it filled in. Just once it is created, you could create a report. You'll have to create a report. Every time you open a report, if it references a particular table, it will update any information. So if you create the report when you have two companies filled into your table, it will only have two companies in the report. If you update your table to have all 25, reopen that report, it will then have the information from 25 entries in your table. So you can create the table or the report as soon as you create the table. So go to create. Just use Report Wizard is the easiest way. If you have experience with Access, you probably wouldn't be watching the video, but you could create your own report. But the easiest thing, click on Report Wizard. We're going to use the table contact info. It's the only table we have. We want to make sure we include all of these fields, so just click on this button here. Click Next. We don't need any grouping. We don't need any sorting. The only thing I want you to change for sure is change this layout from tabular to columnar. If you send me the report in tabular, it would be very hard to read. It won't fit on one page, or it will cut off all of your entries, and you'll lose quite a bit of points. So click on columnar. It just takes a second to do. Orientation, leave it as portrait. That's fine. Click Next. For the title of your report, just go ahead and put your name in there. So look like a professional report. Click Finish. Now you have a report. Has your name at the top. Has the first company contact information there. If I had more than one field, it would have that other information list as well. So just to show you again, let me close this out. Close the report. Go to contact info. Let's fill this out. Mr. Johns Stevens. Use correct punctuation and capitalization in these fields to make it easier to do the form letter. But we can just type anything in here. Arkansas, Lowell, Arkansas. JB Hunt. So just type anything in there. And again, the point of this, I'm just going to show you how you can update your report updates automatically. So we added a new field or a new entry into our table. Close that table out. Open our report. Now I have two entries, right? I have the one from Walmart followed by the one from JB Hunt. If I were to close this out, go back into my table and add 4 or 5 more entries, reopen the table, they would all show up here. So it's very easy to do. So create a table, make sure you create a report, make sure it's in columnar layout. It will look very similar to this with different information in it, and turn that in. Now sometimes you might find a job on a corporate website and you don't see an actual address and a name of someone to send that to. In that case, leave contact title blank. It just won't show up on your form letter. It won't even show up as spaces. Contact last name. Just put in hiring manager as a contact last name. Then when you type your letter, instead of saying Dear Mr. Smith, it would say Dear blank hiring manager, and that would still work just fine for you. For the address, if you don't find an address for a person because you're applying online, just use the corporate address or their HR address if you can find that, or just a corporate address, phone number, contact email, use their, if you don't find it, use human resources, find the human resources address and phone number, and that would be fine. So let me know if you have any questions when you're creating your database.